Okay, how you doing, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good today. I'll go ahead and turn this down a little bit. That's one of Garrett's productions. Garrett's our demonstrator today. Garrett, how you doing?
I am doing good. Ian, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing spectacular. I'm doing
Hey, that
spectacular.
polo looks real good on you, man.
Thank you, thank you. I got it somewhere special, you know.
Oh yeah, did you get it from your background?
Yeah. This is true. This is true. Let me turn this background music off. Cool. Well, how's everybody doing today? Thank you for coming. Don't forget to request your 3-month NFR of Jupiter 8, which we're demonstrating today. Thank you very much for coming into the room, checking us out. This is Garrett Davis, extraordinaire. My name is Ian Martinez with the marketing of Arturia, and it's great to have you with us. He's going to do a sound design demonstration on the Jupiter 8, which is one of our revamped synths in V Collection 8. If you didn't already know, V Collection 8 is $599. It comes with 10,000 sounds, 28 different instruments, including Analog Lab V, which is a huge power browser with the whole thing, with all the different sounds and the whole engine that runs all the different presets. You know, and you can actually go into every synth from that Analog Lab browser as well. But right now we're going to focus on the Jupiter 8. Other than that, how you doing, Garrett?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah?
Still in Barbados.
Barbados?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Fun fact, the lowest temperature it's ever been here was 61 degrees, and that was in the 80s, the 1980s. It's always 82 here.
Really?
Unless it's really hot, in which case it's 84.
Wow.
I'm not even joking. That's not a joke.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Not bad. Okay. If you like the tropical weather, that's the place to be, right?
I skipped winter.
Okay. Got it.
There is no winter here.
Okay.
It's summer all the time. It's unfathomable.
Okay. Cool. So you're working on some projects yourself, right? You got some music coming out yourself?
Yeah. I got an EP coming out tomorrow.
Oh,
And I
wow.
used a bunch of Arturia effects and plugins to make that EP happen. It's called Charged. It's going to be available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. It's already on SoundCloud, but
Right.
pretty much everywhere else.
Right. Wow. Okay. I like Charge. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's nice and fun. Starts off with a nice house track.
Really?
It's good, energetic. It'll get you bumping.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. Well, thank you so much again, everybody, for coming through. We got a few people in the room, quite a few actually, and I'll be checking comments throughout the event here, throughout the show, the demonstration, presentation, and making sure that everybody's on point with the Q&A afterwards. Okay. So I'll be moderating that at the end. Garrett, if you want to take it away and start demonstrating some of your elaborate sound designing skills.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Please.
Okay. I'm going to get the Ableton Special today. So I'm using Ableton right now to demonstrate this. However, these plugins work on any DAW. Ableton is just my personal favorite, so that's what I'm going to be using. I actually have something preset right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and go the distance. I'm going to delete what I have, and I'm just going to load in the default sound because that's where we all start. Okay, I've loaded the default sound in. Let's just see how the sounds. It's very like 80s right off the bat, which is great. So here's what I'm going to do. I got my Arturia key step right here. I'm going to just I'm going to design a little sequence, and then I'm just going to let that play while I design the sound. Let's do C, G, C, E, G, A, G, C, C. Okay. Not sequencing. Let's go ahead and start designing. Wow. So already we're coming up with something really nice. Let me just give a quick little rundown of kind of like how this synthesizer works, or at least the way that I think that it works. So when we're designing synthesizers, we usually have a starting point, and the starting point in this case is going to be the oscillator. That's going to be where my mouse is right here. So where it says VCO1 and VCO2, these are our oscillators, and this synth has 2 different oscillators, and right now they're both working. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have only one of the VCOs work by going to the source mix right here, turning that all the way to VCO1. So we're not hearing any of VCO2, which is the second oscillator. Let's see how that sounds. That sounds pretty good. So just for fun, I'm just going to cycle through the different wave shapes for these oscillators just to see how it sounds. Currently we're on a saw wave. Let's go to a triangle wave and see how that sounds. It's like really gentle. Let's switch it over to the saw wave. Switch it over more. Ooh! This is saucy sound right here. Okay, and the square wave. So those were some really nice different waves. I was feeling the rectangle. I think that's the sound that I made the most noise with. So let's go ahead and just keep going with that. Now I'm going to turn the other oscillator in, and so we can combine our 2 oscillator sounds to get this like really wild sound. So here I'm going to go to source mix, change that to go right to the middle. See how that sounds. Alright, so I'm combining this rectangle shape with the sine wave. It's getting a really, really nice wide stereo sound. Another thing that I've done to increase the width of the sound is I fine-tuned the second oscillator to be just a little bit higher in pitch. That way it'll create this kind of crazy chorusy effect here. Let me demonstrate that on and off. So now it's just right in tune. I'm going to take the second oscillator and finely tune it. You can kind of start hearing that be a little liquidy. That's what we like. Okay, so I'm still on this oscillator section. I haven't even moved on yet. I mean, like, I'm still on just this one section, and it's still just getting so much sound. One thing I also like to do is change the, I don't really know what the technical word of this one is called, but this knob right here, if I move it go up, the oscillator will go up an octave. If I go down, it'll go down an octave. Let's just play it and see how that sounds. Ooh. Ooh. Alright, I like this one. Okay, great. So that was kind of enough on the oscillator section. Now we're going to move into the filter section. So this synthesizer usually moves from left to right, although we kind of start in the middle here. We're just going to move to the right. We're going to check out this section. We already talked about this knob right here. This is the source mix. This will go between VCO1 and VCO2. We have it right in the middle right now, so we're getting a nice mix between VCO1 and VCO2. Now right next to that is the actual filter section right here. And this is where I spent a lot of time. So right here on the left, this cut, this is going to be our high pass filter or our low cut. So the more that I dial this up, the less lows we will hear. Let me down straight. So I drag this up. Now it's like really high and tingly. I bring that back down. We hear those bass notes. That's what we like. And then right here, this is our low pass filter cut. So that means that anything above, whenever I move this fader down, all this space above the fader, we're not going to hear that space anymore. So if you can see, it says 7,303.8 hertz. So that means that's the range of this. So when I move this down, it's going to change. Blah, blah, blah numbers. Check it out. This is how it actually sounds. So we're cutting the highs out of the sound and getting this really nice sound. I'm going to turn the rate down a little bit on my sequencer. that's the sound of me getting distracted and getting carried away. Let's move on. So this was our filter section. Now we've got this whole thing going on right here. These are a couple of mods, different effects you can do for certain things. But honestly, for the sake of like moving the heavy blocks, we're going to move on to this next section right here, to the envelope section. Let's do a quick recap. We did oscillator 1, oscillator 2. We went to the filter section. And now we're just going to kind of skip all of this for right now and go to the envelopes. So we've got two envelopes, ENV1, that's envelope 1, ENV2, that's envelope 2. Envelope 1 is going to control the envelope of our filter section. And then envelope 2 is going to control the envelope of our amplitude section. So let's kind of break down those technical terms because that was a lot of nerdism that I just threw at you. So think of an envelope as like the evolution of your sound. When you send something to somebody, you put it in an envelope, and that envelope delivers it. Depending on how the envelope is shaped, that's how you'll receive the package. It's kind of a really, what's the word? It's like it's out there, but it's kind of similar to what an envelope does for a synthesizer. So we've got ADSR, that stands for attack, decay, sustain, release. So what this means is if I drag this attack up, we're going to take longer for the filter to develop and evolve. So check this out. If I crank the attack up, it's going to be really low at first because the filter is slowly increasing over time for each note. But since this is so fast, the attack isn't really catching it because the note is moving on before the filter can fully go up and come on. So if I turn the attack down, now it's taking much less time for the filter to open. So that sounds really great. It's a little short right now, so I'm going to increase the release time so that we have the filter going for longer before it changes notes. And that's going to be right here under this R. See how it's much more open now? I'm just having fun at this point. So that was the filter section. Let's go over to the envelope 2, which is going to control the amplitude. So envelope 1 controls the filter. Envelope 2 controls the volume, essentially, the amplitude. So if I move the attack time up, because currently it's at 1 millisecond, which means that it's taking 1 millisecond for the sound to go from 0 to 100. If I move this filter up, if I move this fader up, it's now going to take 1 second before we go from 0 to 100, which means that since I'm going really fast, we might not be able to hear it very well. See, you can barely even hear it. It's playing right now. So I'm going to turn the rate of my sequencer down to try and have it develop, but since the attack time is too slow, we're not really hearing anything. So I'm going to have the attack time be much faster, and now we can start to hear everything. So instead of doing just single note stuff right now, I'm going to do some chords. See how that sounds? Oh, we're getting a nice sound. I'm going to increase the attack time so I can get this really nice chord sound. I'm going to increase the attack time of the filter as well, so that it'll take longer for the filter to open up, which will create this cool kind of wow sound. A little minor 4 action there. Okay, this is starting to sound pretty good. Let's kick it up a notch. So there's like a lot of other things going on right now. We've only talked about these two things over here. We talked about the high pass filter. We talked about the low pass filter. Let's get a little weird with it over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the VCO modulator section, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this PWM, which stands for pulse width modulator, pulse wave modulator. Pretty wacky, man. That's definitely what it stands for. So I'm going to dial this up. And now I'm going to have this knob right here. I'm going to have that go to LFO mode, which means that I'm sending this amount of signal to our LFO over here. So now we're hearing this like kind of crazy sound. And I can control how much sends with this PWM fader. And then I can control how fast it kind of like that with the rate. Look at that. Alright, this is starting to sound pretty sweet. Let's see how it sounds with the sequencer again. We are in space. Okay, that sounds awesome. So this has all been good fun for creating a sound that is I mean, we're not even using drums right now. We're not even using time. We're just kind of playing around with the synthesizer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to design a sound that's going to be that's going to do well as a chord. So let's turn off the sequencer and let's just kind of work on a chord sound. So what I want to do, sounds nice, but I want to make the attack time be a little slower. So it kind of gradually introduces itself. And I like that really lo-fi, spacey sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the cut down. One more thing that I want to do, see this knob, this is portamento over here. I'm going to switch this on and turn this little thing up. And what portamento does is it'll kind of glide between one note to the other. So right now we have no portamento, meaning that when I play a C and if I play a G and then go to a C, that's an octave, whatever, it'll just go right there. Da, 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 da. But versus if I turn the portamento up a little bit, it's going to take how much time that I'm setting to go from this note to this note. So it'll be like, which is really fun sometimes. You see here it's kind of going, it's going up to the note like that. Yeah, that's a good example. So that's a really nice evolving sound. When I play one chord, it kind of goes through that, like, those two cycles like that. That was nice. And the reason that I have that is because of the pulse width modulator over here. So if I turn this down a little bit, we're not going to get as much motion. So since I want motion, I'm going to turn that baby up. Okay, nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this to a different section. Okay, so I've got some drums loaded over here. Got some other stuff loaded here, but I don't need that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Check out these drums that I got loaded up. Full disclosure, these drums are from a sample pack that I just downloaded a few days ago from a producer named Blank Frem S. If you don't know about the producer, check him out. He makes these amazing lo-fi textures. He made some drums too, so I got these drums from right there. Made this little drum track out of it, which I think is going to sound really nice with our lo-fi Jupiter sounds that we've got going right now. So I'm going to quickly put down some chords and see how this sounds. And it may sound like crap, but you know what? That's how it goes sometimes. Here we go. Cool. It's starting to sound pretty good. So we've got some sauce over here in the PWM section. That's kind of making the sound like kind of do this crazy modulation sound. I'm going to take it up another step and I'm going to pop the hood. I'm going to click advanced right here. When I do that, this whole other section pops up right here, which is telling me that these are all the other things that I can kind of do with this synth. We've got modulation, sequencer, keyboard, and effects. I'm not using the sequencer or the keyboard right now. This is really nice though. I should honestly be using this because this allows for different control over the way the keyboard interacts with the synthesizer. I'm just gonna turn that off right now. Actually, just gonna leave it just the way it is. And we can turn it on and off with this little power button. And I see that the effects actually were on, so let's see how that sounds with them off now. Cool, it's a little more dry. I'm gonna turn the back on. I'm gonna go over here to dry wet. And dial this up a little bit. So this is dialing up some delay sound. Just kind of like, oh yeah, there it is. That sounds nice. I like that actually. Turn the feedback up a little bit so it goes for longer. And then I'm gonna turn ping pong on. So it'll literally jump left and right. Okay. This is nice. I'm happy with this so far. I'm gonna cut it a little bit more actually. Okay. I'm gonna maybe turn these drums up just a little bit. And then one thing that I just love to do so much is I love putting side chain compression on my chords, which basically just means that whenever we hear the kick drum, the sound is going to duck a little bit and get out of the kick drum's way so that it kind of just creates this wavy sound. Here, I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So I just put a compressor on the Jupiter over here. I'm going to click this down button, click sidechain. Audio from is going to be the drums. I'm going to switch it over to the low pass filter. I'm going to go to threshold right here and turn this down, which is telling my compressor to work more. So hear how it's ducking out like that. I like that sound a lot. Here's what it sounds like without the compressor. With the compressor. Ooh! That sounds great. Okay, so at this point, I want to design a lead sound. So I'm going to just create another track. Oh. I have made my computer unhappy. Okay, great. And I loaded an audio track, so I'm going to delete that. Create a new MIDI track. Oh my god, of course. The create a new MIDI track shortcut is the same shortcut for stop zoom sharing, which is not helpful. I know you can actually turn that shortcut off, but I just haven't done it yet. Okay, great. So now I've created a new MIDI track. I'm going to load Jupiter 8V, just the default the default sound. No, that's one that I made with some macros on it. I'm not even going to load that one right now because I just want to load directly stock. Delete this console 1 plugin that I'm not currently using. Okay, great. So now we have a fresh, brand new Jupiter 8 sound. So let's just kind of mess around with this for a second. Okay, sounding a little not great right now. So let's go through to our oscillator section. Let's design a new sound from the ground up. Okay, I actually got through that. Let's change within these oscillator waves. Let's see what just one oscillator sounds like. Okay, it's kind of fun. Let's keep moving on with this. Let's go to advanced. Let's put some sauce on it. Put some delay. That's what sauce is. Okay, great. That's a fun sound. Okay, let's come back to synth itself. All right. Let's turn this up a little bit. So we've got kind of a long tail going on right now. I'm actually want to turn the tail down a little bit by decreasing the release on the amplitude envelope. Okay, we got a nice quick attack time on our lead because our attack time is set to 1 millisecond. And let's see what it sounds like when I increase the time envelope 1. Oh, that'd be pretty quick, but not 1 millisecond because I'm liking the sound of it opening up really fast. Okay, and so let's say you want to yeah. So we get this cool sound now because I ran my finger along the modulation, and if you look in the bottom left, you can see this little knob right here move up and down while I do that. Okay, that's pretty sweet. So let's kind of see if we can mess with that effect a little bit more because I love messing with that. So that woo 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 sound is just like a little slow. It's actually pretty fast, but let's make it faster. The way that I'm going to control that is by going over to this LFO section over here. See where it says rate? That is the speed of the LFO. So if I turn this up, that woo 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 sound is going to go faster. Check it out. How's that sound in context? Alright, sounds pretty good. I still want to design this sound to be a little bit more cohesive. I feel like that lead is still sticking out just a little bit too much. How are we doing on time? How are the comments going, Ian? How's it going over there?
Going well, very, very well. We don't have too many comments, so if anybody wants to go ahead and ask something, you're more than welcome to. We'll have a Q&A at the end, and we're coming close to it at some point. So let's see here. Do we have any? We don't have any questions yet.
Hey,
So-
no problem.
I will keep checking. You're just too thorough. You know, you're answering all their questions as we're going along. So nothing's popping up. I guess Hey, usually there's a lot more questions.
All right.
That's
I will
okay.
take that
That's okay.
as a compliment.
It's a compliment.
Whatever,
It's a
that's cool.
compliment.
What are we all doing? Don't be shy, If you're like, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about at all, hit me down in the comments. No, it's no problem. Or hit him down in the comments, I guess.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, we'll make it happen.
All right, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's turn that modulation back up. So I can control how much I want this. So right now, all we've controlled so far is the rate. Excuse me. So the more I turn the rate down, the slower that effect will be. So this is happening because if we go down here to LFO mod, it says VCO and VCF. If we turn these off, then no matter how much I turn on my mod with my keyboard, nothing will happen because we're telling the keyboard we don't want the LFO, we don't want to send the oscillator to the, we don't want to send the LFO to the oscillator, or we don't want to send the LFO to the VCF. So let me break that down because that's a lot of acronyms. VCO means the oscillator, and when that is on, it's going to control the pitch like that, because that's the pitch of the oscillator. The oscillator is generating a pitch, and when we introduce an LFO to it, we move the pitch up and down. If you don't know what an LFO is, it's really actually simple in concept. Think about a fan, like a fan that's standing up with a disc. Fans, when they've got that little button that allows them to go left and right, and left and right, and then sometimes you can control how fast it goes left and right. That's the same kind of principle of an LFO. An LFO just can change a parameter left to right, can change it way left or way right, it can change the speed of it. It stands for low frequency oscillator, meaning it just takes a while to go up and down, depending on what we want it to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send, so we're sending this much, 0.236, into the oscillator. So if I increase it, you hear it get crazy, right? This is like some Pac-Man stuff going on right now. Now we're just back to spooky land. And this is set to on. If I turn it off, it'll be gone. On. And then the VCF, this is going to be our amplitude section. So if I increase this, so it goes away like that. And both of these parameters are controlled by this LFO rate over here. So if I increase this, both the oscillator and the amplitude are going to be affected by the rate. So I'm not really feeling the VCF to be modulated right now, so I'm just going to stick with the VCO to be modulated. And just like a subtle amount. It's not quite subtle. Cool. Okay, great. So let's design this again. Or not design it again. Let's just kind of design it a little bit more.
Quick question for you.
Actually, I'm going to just put down a melody right now, and then I'll have that melody go and modulate, or kind of just, make the sound different while it's going.
Quick question for you, Garrett.
Yeah, what's
We
up?
got two questions I want to just kind of jump into while we have them hot right now. First of all, what controller are you using? What MIDI controller are you using?
Such a good question. I'm using the Arteria key step. I've had this controller for like 3 years now. It's got a sequencer built into it, which I have been using. Currently, I'm using it so that it's not syncing up with my DAW, which I like to do a lot. So here, I'm gonna push play. Get this crazy sound. I'm gonna turn the rate down with this knob. I can also change the note, and it'll keep the sequence intact. This is a great controller. And since my name is Garrett, I have a nickname Gart, which I like to affectionately call this as the Garteria keyboard, which has nothing to do with anything.
Melton had another question, and what was a fader being used before the VCF? I think that's a VCO, I want to say. Or
Yeah, it's a great question, Milton. What is the fader before the VCF?
before the VCF that you were just moving, I think underneath the LFO mod on the bottom left.
Oh, this one down here?
I believe so.
So this controls how much LFO we're introducing into the VCO. So if I turn my mod on a little bit, if I turn this knob up, this is the amount of the LFO. It's hard to describe sometimes. The more that I turn this knob up, the more LFO will be sent to the oscillator. So if it's nice and subtle, we'll only have just a little bit go to the oscillator versus if I crank it, it'll go really insane.
Yeah.
So I like to have it be pretty subtle.
Cool.
That's a nice sound. I like
Yeah.
how that sounds.
All right, I'll let you go ahead and dive in again.
Okay, great.
You have some more stuff to kind of get into.
Thank you for the questions. This is great. If you have any
Yeah.
more questions, just clap, clap, clap. Smash that keyboard. Here we go. I'm going to quantize that just real fast. Just like a little bit. Quantize it at 66% strength. And that sounded like crap. Let's try that again. That's a little better. I didn't like this note. Come back. So it's still sticking out a lot. I'm going to turn the... nice. I'm going to make it higher. Off. That should sound nice. Yeah. I liked it down there. Okay, cool. So our release time is pretty short right now, but we're still hearing a lot of sound in the tail because, again, the advanced, I popped the advanced, and we've got a lot of delay going. I'm going to turn that off, see how that sounds. It's probably going to sound really dry. Yeah. That sounds like crap. Turn that on. Ah, now it's just like so much more beautiful. So I got some other effects going on. Let's see how they sound a little bit. I got some chorus going. It's really hard to like gauge how that sounds because the release time is so short. So just for the sake of this, I'm going to turn the release time up. We're at 92 milliseconds. I'm going to move it up to 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. Still really short. Oh, it's because our sustain is really low. Here we go. Our filter's really short too. Okay, there we go. Let's solo out this sound right now. Wow, that chorus is really nice. Really thickens the sound out without being too invasive. I like that. It just really kind of creates a lot of width. The flanger, I can hear that working a little harder. Oh, wow. You know, this would be really great for our chord sound. So let's jump back into chord land. Let's solo this chord out. Oh yeah. Ooh. Oh, that's wavy. So this knob right here, this frequency knob, this is controlling how fast the flanger is flanging at this point. So currently it's set to pretty slow, so it's kind of, which is great for this chord sound. And then I'm controlling how hard it's working with the dry wet over here. Oh yeah, you can really hear that nice. Ah, what a sound! Decrease this a little bit. Bring the drums back in, because I think they're gonna sound real nice. Oh yeah, sounds great. And then the melody sounds like this. Okay. Now, how much time we got?
Pretty much there. I mean, you know.
Okay, great.
I mean, you're
I'm
doing an
gonna-
amazing
I
job,
hear-
and it sounds really cool.
Thanks. There's like one more sound that I think would really complete the set, which would be kind of
Okay.
like a sequencer sound, or like an arpeggiator. I think that would sound really good. I'm gonna spend 5 minutes doing that,
Sure.
and if I don't complete it, it's all good. It's gonna sound good anyway. So I'm gonna create a new MIDI track. Of course, stop my share. Share's back online. I'm gonna create a new MIDI track. Create insert MIDI track. Okay, and now I'm going to load in Jupiter 8V, just a total default sound. Oh, that's the previous sound. There's our default sound again. I'm gonna turn my key step to sync up with my DAW, which is gonna be how we're gonna get the sequencer to work nice and easy. Alright, that sounds pretty cool already. I'm gonna mess with that a little bit. I'm actually just gonna record it. See what happens. Who cares? Oh. That's kind of working. There you go. Mess with this just a little bit. Make it higher. Turn it to one oscillator. Turn the pan spread up a little bit. Down an octave again. Ooh. melody. Cool, man. Okay, that's gonna go ahead and do it. I think for the demonstration because I want
Nice.
to work on this song now. Honestly, I'm totally tired.
Let's
I think it
let
sounds
you get
great.
to work. Cool. You go ahead and stop sharing if you like.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll go
Thank you
to
everybody for watching that. I'm super excited to hear any questions that you got for me.
right. Man, that was a very good demo. I learned a lot myself.
All right.
We have a question here with Peter. Will you be doing this with the SEM another time? Are you familiar with the SEM yourself by chance?
Yeah,
Are
definitely.
you?
The SEM filter or the SEM synthesizer? Because
Synthesizer.
honestly, the answer is both. Is
Both.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Jack of
I
all
haven't messed around
trades.
with SEM too much, but I think it's that really glitzy
Uh-huh.
sounding synth.
Okay.
Sounds great with an arpeggio and sequencers
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is yes, man. I got you.
Well, we're gonna be working on a lot more stuff, you guys. Any suggestions or insight you have into doing different synths or whatever, just go ahead and put the comments in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it sounds really good, man. Appreciate it. You have an EP coming out tomorrow once again, right? And what's
Yes,
your name on Spotify?
Bear, cat, shark.
Bearcat Shark. Okay.
Bear, cat, shark. One word. There's actually a lot of bear artists. I found a bear cubs yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a bear claw out there, but
Okay.
they don't have 3 names. I'm the
Okay.
only bear with 3 names.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, and that's what we're listening to when we first opened up the live stream today. In itself was one of his tracks, 2 of his tracks actually. We kind of started playing. So, very cool. I'm very excited to have you on board with us. And
Fun fact: I used the Arturia, the Mellotron for the first song. Love the Mellotron. If you don't have any experience with that, go check it out. It's so good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
I really like how that sounds.
it is pretty intense. It's pretty intense. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate your time. Anything you need from us, just go ahead and let us know. Go ahead and drop or click on the link to the Survey Monkey to enter in your email address, so we can send you as soon as possible the 3-month NFR of Jupiter 8 for your watching and viewing pleasure treat. And yeah, that pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's such a great synth.
It is, and
People
you made
with
an
Ontario are so
awesome
great to work
production with it. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me do this, Ian. This is great.
Not a
I'm
problem.
having so much fun.
Yeah, me too. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You guys take care.
All right.
Play a little outro music.
Sounds good. Play Ya. Or whatever. That's fine.